What happens when the US defaults? Imagine waking up one morning to headlines that shake the world. The United States has defaulted on its debt. For decades, people dismissed this as impossible. Yet here it is. Trillions in obligations unpaid. The dollar, once untouchable, is suddenly in question, and the world is holding its breath. At first, the media scrambles. Politicians downplay it. They call it a technical default, a temporary glitch. But investors aren't fooled. Global markets panic. Bonds are dumped overnight. Nations who once trusted US Treasury bills now see them for what they are: paper promises no one believes in anymore. This isn't just a financial hiccup. The US dollar has been the reserve currency for nearly 80 years, the backbone of global trade. When that trust collapses, everything does. Oil deals, international trade contracts, foreign reserves. Suddenly, they're all unstable. And behind the scenes, leaders scramble for an escape hatch. The cracks show first in foreign capitals. Nations long uneasy with America's dominance seize their moment. China and Russia call emergency meetings. Middle Eastern oil producers quietly stop invoicing in dollars. Africa, South America, they follow. For the first time in generations, the dollar isn't the only game in town. Inside the US, panic sets in. Ordinary citizens see their savings lose value overnight. The cost of imports soars. Gas prices, food, electronics, everything costs more. Inflation isn't just numbers on a chart anymore. It's dinner tables emptying, families lining up outside banks, people realizing the world they knew is gone. Capital flight accelerates. The wealthy move first, wiring funds abroad before controls tighten. Then corporations rush to safeguard balance sheets. Soon, even ordinary people are desperate. But where do you run when the reserve currency itself is collapsing? Gold? Maybe. Real estate? Risky. And then, whispers of Bitcoin grow louder. For years, Bitcoin was dismissed as speculative noise, a toy for tech geeks and dreamers. But now, when trust in governments and central banks vanishes, Bitcoin's design suddenly matters. A fixed supply, borderless transactions, no central authority to default. In chaos, it looks less like a gamble and more like lifeboat. As the default deepens, governments turn aggressive. Capital controls roll out. Wire transfers are blocked. Currency exchanges are monitored. Citizens are told, "Do not panic, your money is safe." Yet every restriction only feeds suspicion. People feel trapped in a crumbling system, and Bitcoin becomes the forbidden door to freedom. Black markets emerge overnight. People trade goods for Bitcoin. Offshore exchanges surge. Some nations legalize it outright, desperate to attract capital. Others outlaw it completely, branding it subversive. But banning only makes it spread faster, because people can see the truth. Bitcoin is the one exit no government can close. Meanwhile, geopolitical tensions explode. Losing reserve status means losing power. The US, desperate to cling to influence, lashes out. Trade wars escalate. Sanctions backfire. Military posturing turns real. Allies fracture. Enemies grow bold. The once dominant empire finds itself cornered. And history tells us cornered empires rarely retreat quietly. War becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Conflicts flare in regions where the US once held control. Resource battles intensify. Proxy wars erupt. The narrative of defending democracy grows thin. Everyone knows this is about money, control, and survival. The global order is being rewritten in real time. And through it all, Bitcoin keeps ticking. Block by block, transaction by transaction, the network doesn't care about borders or politics. While nations threaten each other, while economies crumble, the Bitcoin blockchain just marches forward. Every 10 minutes. Unbothered. Unstoppable. The contrast is almost surreal. For everyday people, this isn't abstract. Families use Bitcoin to send money abroad when banks fail. Merchants accept it when credit cards no longer work. Refugees carry it across borders when cash is confiscated. What was once seen as nerd money becomes survival money, a lifeline for the forgotten. Elites notice too. Behind closed doors, billionaires quietly accumulate Bitcoin. Hedge funds rebalance portfolios. Sovereign wealth funds dip in. At first, they deny it. But blockchain data doesn't lie. Addresses swell with activity. As the system collapses, the very people who mocked Bitcoin now cling to it in silence. The default doesn't just reset finances, it resets trust. Generations raised to believe in the American dream question everything. If the US can break its promises, who else will? The myth of safe government money shatters, and humanity finally confronts a truth long buried. Money is only trust. Out of the ashes, two systems rise. The old guard, fiat, central banks, political control, fights desperately to retain power. The new guard, decentralized, peer-to-peer, censorship-resistant, grows quietly but steadily. And every day more people choose the latter, not because they're gamblers, but because they refuse to be victims again. What happens next? Some predict hyperinflation, a return to barter, chaos. Others believe a new multipolar world emerges, where no single country dominates. But in both visions, Bitcoin plays the same role. The neutral settlement layer, the apolitical money, the one tool everyone can use, but no one can control. As nations wrestle for dominance, Bitcoin slips past them all. It doesn't need armies or treaties. It wins by existing, by offering a choice, by giving humanity an alternative when all else fails. And once people experience that freedom, once they taste money that cannot be printed or seized, they don't go back. This is the hidden story no one tells you. The US default won't just be a financial event. It will be a civilizational turning point. The moment humanity learns that empires fall, currencies fail. But trust, once broken, never returns. And in that void, Bitcoin will be the exit door the world chooses. So, what happens when the US defaults? The dollar dies, the empire wanes, wars may come. But out of the chaos, a new form of order rises. Not because governments decree it, but because people demand it. And that order, block by block, is Bitcoin.